All right, our first page of notes will be complementary and supplementary. So this will be the title, complementary and supplementary. All right, so you already know that if two angles are complementary, they have a sum of what? 90 degrees, very good. And if they are supplementary, very good, they have a sum of 180 degrees. So today what I'm going to show you is how to solve when they ask you to find the supplements of an angle or the complements of an angle. Very important, and I need y'all to highlight it, do what you have to do. But if you have the complement, and make sure y'all write this down, the complements of if I ask you for the complement of, you just use 90 minus whatever angle I'm asking you to find the complement of. So if I ask you to find the complement of a 30-degree angle, you would just say 90 minus 30. You would just plug it in there. Very simple. And then you have the supplement of, so if I ask you to find the supplement of an angle, you will just use what? 180 minus. So if I ask you to find the supplement of a 30-degree angle, you would just plug in 30 there, 180 minus 30. The reason why this is very important is because sometimes you'll have like an angle that's x degrees. And I'll say find the supplement of an x degree angle. You would just put 180 minus x, and that is it, okay? All right, so let's jump right into an example. Make sure you are writing this. This is that page of notes, your next page of notes. All right, pause the video and copy those two examples. You will find the measure of each if the measure of angle E is 7x minus 12 degrees and the measure of angle F is 116.5 degrees. So the first thing we're going to do is find the complement of angle E. If you look up here to find the complement of any angle, it's 90 minus whatever we're being asked to find the angle measure. So the complement of angle E is 7x minus 12 degrees. So you would just put 90 minus 7x minus 12 degrees. Now, of course, you can't just say 90 minus 7x minus 12. You have to evenly distribute that negative, right? So instead of 90 minus 7x minus 12, what will I have? 90 minus 7x plus 12. Very good. So I have 90 minus 7x, and a minus negative 12 is positive 12. So you have 90 minus 7x plus 12 combined like terms. 90 plus 12 is 102 minus 7x. And y'all, that is the answer. 102 minus 7x degrees. Did y'all get that? Okay. All right, and the same thing. I want you to find the supplement of angle F. Angle F is 116.5 degrees, and so the supplement of is 180 minus. So I'm having to find 180 minus angle F is 116.5. And 180 minus 116.5 is 63.5 degrees. So that is your answer. So it's that simple. The supplement of 180 minus the complement of 90 minus. That's it. Make sure y'all stop me if y'all have any questions. All right, next, same page. I want you to pause the video, write this example. An angle's measure is 12 degrees more than half the measure of its supplement. You're going to find the measure of an angle. So they're asking you to find the measure of the angle. So that is going to be your variable. You're trying to find that. So you're going to let x equal measure of the angle. Alright, so in math, an angle's measure is, what does is mean? What does is mean? If I say like, yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? So it's is. And what does more mean in math? Yeah, you're adding. And of course, now you know what the supplement of means, right? What does the supplement of mean? 180 minus. They can't hear y'all. I don't think so. All right, so let's see. An angle's measure. We let x equal the measure of the angle. So an angle's measure is 12 more. So we know it's going to be plus 12 because it's 12 more than something than half the measure of its supplement. So if the angle is x degrees, the measure of its supplement is 180 minus x. And then you solve. You solve for x. So we have x equals, what's half of 180? 90. And half of 1, of course, is half. So you have your half x plus 12. You combine like terms. 90 plus 12 is 102. I add half to both sides, half x. So I have 1.5x equals 102. I divide both sides by 1.5. And x equals 68. So that angle measure is 68 degrees. All right, our next page in notes will be on the midpoint formula. What the midpoint does is it finds the middle coordinates of a segment. So the formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Excuse my straight, beautiful line right there. So that is the midpoint formula. All right, so here's your first endpoint, and this is your x1, y1. That's what those subscripts mean. This is your first set of coordinates. Your second endpoint will be x2, y2. And your midpoint will be x, y. So this is how the formula works. If I'm trying to find the x coordinate of the midpoint, I take my x1 plus my x2 and I divide it by 2. So that's how I find the midpoint, the x coordinate. And then when I want to find the y coordinate of the midpoint, I take my y1, which is here, plus my y2, which is here, and divide that by 2. So you're just plugging in. All right, so next, let's work an example. On that same page, let's go ahead and work an example. We're going to find the coordinates of the midpoint of segment EF. So let's go ahead and label segment EF. And it has the endpoints -4, 5. And F is 3, 0. So you need to make sure you understand that you have your first set. Hold on. It's your x1, y1. Your second set of endpoints is x2, y2. And of course, your midpoint will be your x, y. Every time. x1, y1, x2, y2, and your midpoint x, y. It will help you so much. Make sure you remember to do that. Alright, so let's set up the formula. x1, x equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y equals y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And now you just substitute. And since we're finding the midpoint, this is what we're looking for, these two coordinates. So x, that's what we're trying to find, so that's our variable. x1, what is x1? Negative 4. What is x2? 3 over 2. It's just that simple, I promise you. So now you simplify. X equals negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1 over 2. So that is my x coordinate. 1 over 2. Negative 1 over 2. So now we have our y. That's what we're trying to find. See? That's our blank that we're looking for. So we have y equals, and then we have y1, which is 5, plus y2, which is 0 over 2. And then you simplify. 5 plus 0 equals 5 over 2. So my y coordinate is 5 over 2. And that is my answer. Negative 1/2 and 2.5. Alright, the last page of notes for the day is finding the endpoint. So we still use the midpoint formula, but this time I'm going to give you an endpoint and the midpoint, and I'll have you find the other endpoint. So nothing's changed. Like here it says B is the midpoint of segment AC, so I'll label it up here this time. So here's point B, that's the midpoint, and this is segment AC. Like I said, nothing's changed. A has coordinates 6, 4, so make sure you always label 6, 4. B has coordinates negative 6, 5. So if you notice, this time they have actually given the midpoint. But they want me to find C, so this is what we're finding this time. Same thing. Here's your x1, y1. Here's your x2, y2. And midpoint is always x, y. Always, always. So the midpoint formula, to find the midpoint x, you add x1 plus x2 and divide it by 2. And to find the midpoint y, you add y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Alright, so this time, do we have an x? Yes, we do. So x is not our variable this time. You plug it in there. Negative 6. What is our x1? 6. What is our x2? That's what we're trying to find. So now I solve. How do I get rid of a fraction? I multiply both sides by what's on the bottom, by the denominator. So that cancels. And 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 equals 6 plus x. And I just solve for x. Subtract 6 from both sides. Negative 12 and negative 6 is negative 18. So x equals negative 18. I have y. Y is 5. Y1 is 4. Y2, that's what we're trying to find. Oh, I forgot to fill that in. Our x2 is negative 18. Again, you multiply both sides by 2. They cancel. So you have 2 times 5 is 10. Equals 4 plus y. We subtract 4 from both sides. And y equals 6. So the coordinates of C would be negative 18, 6. And that's it. That's how you find the endpoint when you're given the other endpoint and the midpoint.